You know, a year ago, none of us could have imagined the kind of year we just experienced. I mean, really. But despite all the very serious worldly kerfuffle, as far as we can tell, the Earth does continue to spin on its axis and continues to maintain its orbit around the star we call the sun. So at least we got that going for us. And here we are on January the 5th with the Christian calendar telling us we've entered a new year. And I've occasionally thought that that's a pretty smart bunch, those Christians. They got it set up that if you want to do business or travel, you pretty much do anything involving the concept of date. You've got to use their calendar. And so really that's tough luck for the Mayan, the Chinese, the Hebrew, Persian, and the other 30 or so calendars in existence. Anyway, as is the nature of things, there's only 3 things that are going to happen in 2021. Only 3. And you can take it to the bank. Conditions will become more favorable, or conditions will become less favorable, or conditions will remain about the same. The only thing you can count on is that there's going to be some modulation of conditions to some magnitude. And change isn't going to cease. And as the Buddha often taught, all conditioned phenomena arises and passes away. All conditioned phenomena arises and passes away. That includes you and me, the pyramids, the Anasazi native peoples, remember them? The Roman Empire, and the United States of America arise and pass away. It's nature. And this points to the challenge of your spiritual practice. Getting comfortable with and internalizing the central fact of your existence, that there's change and then there's more change. And the more you can get yourself comfortable with change, the more that a sense of ease, balance, joy, love becomes activated in your life. But the trick about change is that it's not just an intellectual understanding. It comes about over time with what you might call a careful immersion into seeing and feeling change as it rolls through you, around you, on and on. So internally, with all your thoughts, feelings, sensations that are coming and going moment by moment, all day long, and all night long in your dreams, if you can remember them. And externally, observing, watching, and feeling into it's kind of a effervescing change that occurs everywhere around you. That's the essential of practice. And, we've mentioned it before, some very pithy words from the revered Buddhist scholar monk Analayo, where he condenses the whole Buddhist practice down to 4 words. Keep calmly knowing change. Keep calmly knowing change. So what you discover, and I tried to elicit it to some degree in the practice tonight, and time, is that if you're calmly watching everything move or morph, arise, dissolve, that there develops a heightened knowing and a direct experiencing of really no discernible difference between inside and out. Now, I know this may sound like crazy talk if you're just beginning, with your practice. But as your practice matures and your awareness of change heightens, really, scientists tell us that change on the micro level is really all that there is. We're made up of atoms, which are made up of subatomic particles, which are coming into existence and going out of existence in a tiny fraction of a nanosecond. And a nanosecond is 1/1000th of a second. And these particles arise and pass in a very tiny fraction of a nanosecond. Such that things are coming and going so fast that we are made up of, that essentially what scientists say is, well, okay, we are vibrating light. Now, these eyes, which are absolutely miraculous what they can do, but really, they are so crude in their capacity to see what's actually going on. But with the mindfulness practice, we can begin to feel more and more of this kind of micro vibrational essence. And maybe you've had hints of it in your practice, or maybe long periods of time where you've experienced it. And you can feel it inside and outside. And at times, to the extent that term or the concept inside outside doesn't hold. Vibrating change within, vibrating change without. Now, if that's the case, I mean, where are you? What are you? Is there a you in the largest sense? Or are you some modulating vibration without real boundaries, like a current within the ocean? Scuba diving is one of my most favorite things to do. And when you're diving, you often encounter these currents within a current. So it's kind of a modulation in the ocean. An example is a slightly different temperature variant known as a thermocline, which creates its own current. It's funny, sometimes it has a kind of a wavy visibility, like heat on a road in the summertime. But it's all the same water. It's all the same ocean. There's no real kind of inside outside, just some modulations. It's the vibrations in one ocean. So who are you really? Who are you? Said the caterpillar. This was not an encouraging opening for a conversation. Alice replied, rather shyly, I hardly know, sir. Just at present, at least I know who I was when I got up this morning, but I think I must have changed several times since then. What do you mean by that? Said the caterpillar sternly. Explain yourself. I can't explain myself, I'm afraid, sir, said Alice, because I am not myself, you see. That's advice from a caterpillar to Alice. Direct experiences like boundaries dissolving can be disconcerting at first, as Alice discovered. But with repeated immersions, it all can become quite comfortable, and actually more than comfortable, actually. Beautiful, kind of utterly at peace, kind of vibrating stillness, and not wanting of anything. It's very hard to describe. You know, one description might be it's a kind of a knowing, radiant sensibility, washed with love and connected to all creation. It's kind of the best I can come up with. Now, you might have started meditation for a little stress relief. That's great. But as the mystery of these practices unfold and things are revealed, there's more and more, just as Alice discovered. So calmly experiencing change is the practice. And oh my gosh, over the last 12 months, we've all had a lot of intensive practice. I mean, sometimes you were calm, equanimous with what was happening, and other times, maybe not so much. Over this past week and the turning of the calendar, as many of you have, I'm sure, I was reflecting. Not so much on all the stuff that went down and is going down, COVID-19, the issues around racism, the dreadful politics, the economy, the environmental mess, etc. Not so much on that, but more specifically, my reaction to it all. How did I show up internally? Yes, there was external actions that I undertook, whether it was letter writing or speaking out or donating resources or studying the issues for a deeper understanding. That's all well and good. But what have I learned about myself through all of this? What wisdom and equanimity has been cultivated? What has most served me? How has my perspective changed? Has my capacity to remain in balance through difficult conditions increased? I strongly believe that a mature contemplative practice prepares a person for any and all arising phenomena, both internal or external, physical, emotional, whatever, no matter how difficult. And you've all been challenged. Older generations talk about the Great Depression, talk about World War II and how that shaped them. Well, those of us on the earth now share this pandemic. And it's playing out amidst powerful racial, political, economic, and environmental challenges, all of it. We are in a crucible now, every bit as challenging as what that former generation faced. What I want to point to is that you may have surprised yourself with your capacity to navigate all this. And it's worth pausing and reflecting some on what you have learned during the Troubles. And I borrow that term from the Irish term for kind of historic upheavals. I had a meditation teacher who always used to say that after you practice, take a few minutes to reflect on what you learned before you get up and do whatever you're going to do. So let's spend a few minutes and reflect together. I mean, 2020 and the current state of affairs has offered us quite an opportunity to practice, and reflecting on what you learned, how your equanimity has been affected, the grace you summoned at times. Reflecting on all this is actually important. It will increase your confidence to be present, to turn toward whatever is arising, and to turn toward it with an open heart and a clear mind. Reflecting on what we've learned reinforces the capacity for greater equanimity. We don't have time tonight, but equanimity is that glue, that balance of heart and mind is the glue that holds the other Brahma Viharas from flipping to one extreme or another. The Brahma Viharas, the beautiful emotions, the loving friendliness, compassion, and appreciative joy, need equanimity to hold them in balance. So just close your eyes and we'll just, for a few moments, I want you to reflect on these last 12 months. What equanimity, what balance can you now call forward? What are you more ease about? What has become easier for you? What can you keep your ease about now that a year ago would have been really challenging for you? We so easily want to look at all the things that we can't do or issues that we have. But take a look at how you've handled this year, and where you've really come up to the bar, so to speak. Take stock. We're all in a crucible. And it's worthy to pay attention to the arising of our better angels. That's the potential for our species. So, okay. I just wanted to put the point on really how well you're doing. And we fall down and we get frustrated and we feel cooped up and this and that. And then we rise again. And we summon our heart and we move forward. And everything is changing and we can't control so much. You know. I want to close with one of my favorite poems from Hafiz. It's called Deepening the Wonder. Death is a favor to us, but our scales have lost their balance. The impermanence of the body should give us great clarity, deepening the wonder in our senses and eyes of this mysterious existence we share and are surely just traveling through. If I were in a tavern tonight, Hafiz would call for drinks. And as the master poured, I would be reminded that all I know of life and myself is that we are just a mid-air flight of golden wine between his pitcher and his cup. If I were in a tavern tonight, I would buy freely for everyone in this world, because our marriage with the cruel beauty of time and space cannot endure very long. Death is a favor to us, but our minds have lost their balance. The miraculous existence and impermanence of form always makes the illumined ones laugh and sing. So thank you all for your attention this evening. There's always more to explore when we kind of plumb the depths of the heart and mind. So wishing you all the best, and as you carry on in the crucible, learning and loving. So until next week, take care.